and hello, and welcome to Uptown Tonight. It is 4:20 for all you guys out there, all you tokers and midnight tokers, whatever you want to call that. As you can hear in the background, one is not toking, but we do have Brandon Thompson with us tonight. Hey. Oh, this is going to be exciting. I know this guy's got stories beyond stories beyond stories, and I can't wait to get into it. But basically, we're just waiting on Cito, so hopefully he does show up. If not, we'll be fine tonight without him. But Cito, we miss you. We love you. All that other fun stuff. And I just noticed the hairball thing from the January 28th is still up on our screen. That should be switched over to our Wii Fest. See, this is what happens when I got to do it myself, because I got to figure out where I'm going.
That's right. I forgot that you guys are playing Wii Fest.
We are playing Wii Fest on our weekend fun. We're at the Barn Stage Wednesday, August 3rd. Oh, yeah, with LV Shane and Johnny Cochran, and then there's us. That'll be fun. I've actually never been to Wii Fest in my life. I know a lot of friends have been there. I know some not so good stories and a lot of great stories that happened out of that place. So no, that's going to be a fun time for that. The next thing we have, our Jojo Mayor giveaway is still on for grabs. So maybe we'll give Brandon a shot at the Jojo Mayor thing if he actually wants it.
Boy, I don't know what that even is.
Jojo Mayor's Secret Weapons for the Modern Drummer is basically a hand technique video that Peter Nyblock and I bonded over a million years ago at Best Buy when I was sort of teaching there and he was actually working. So we'd be hanging out in the music department, just watching Jojo Mayor doing the hand exercises right along with him. It was fun. We got to know each other really well that way, and a real good mutual respect on that. But
I've been told my hand technique could use a little work.
But I am your host there, Mr. Stallenfocker, or Discount Tom Cruise. I've been called Tom Brady in the past as well now. I don't know what the hell is going on. Oh, and the latest one a couple of weeks ago, I was called Steve Jobs on the drums. Because, you'll have to come out to a show and you'll see why. But we got Brandon here. How you doing, Brandon?
I've been doing pretty good. Nice day out today. It started out a little crappy, but we got some sunshine.
It's been a beautiful day today. Just a beautiful day. And, other than it started with snow all morning and had like that big popcorn type snow, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to accumulate and it's going to be nasty and we're going to get ice and stuff. But nope. Yeah, it's all gone now. My dog's out back getting all full of mud.
Yeah, it started out really brutal this morning.
Yes, it did. So, Brandon, where did you come from?
Born in Fargo, raised in Moorhead. I'm a Spud, class of 2010.
Oh my gosh, another Spud.
Yep.
See, we keep finding these guys in here. Brady's a Spud, I'm a Spud. And 2010, when did Brady graduate? I couldn't even tell you.
It is a small community, so it doesn't surprise me that we're all from the same school.
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks ago, and we had Rick Adams in here. He was from like 80. I'm going to get it wrong. Early 80s, and I was 94, and then Brady was like in the 2000s. So it was like a 30-year span of Spuds. I was in the room.
Once a Spud, always a Spud.
Oh, yeah, the potatoes. So cool. So you graduated. What did you do before that? What got you into music in the first place?
Sure. I grew up across the street from my best friend, or one of my best friends, Alex. And one of the other kids in the neighborhood, Matt, we just started playing music when we were younger. We also made movies, just like to create in general. We started out making kind of like little stunt films like the Jackass crew would do.
Oh, gosh.
And then that shifted into more of like a comedy skit show type of thing. We would make movies for our book projects. So in school, we wouldn't like read a book when we were assigned like a book report. We would just look up the synopsis online, take the characters' names and the basic story and kind of add our own little jokes to it. And we'd make these like 10 to 15 minute videos, hand the teacher a DVD, which like in 2004, if you handed a teacher a DVD, they're like, holy, I don't even have anything to play this on. So, so we always got A's on our book reports just by making videos.
Just by cheating the system, just making yourself look good.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We used to do that type of stuff actually in the next room over, and we'd make videos on the old VHS video recorders, video camcorders. Now, actually trying to do any kind of editing with that was interesting in itself. We had the version that basically if you started it up, it'd line it up right after the last thing that you did that. And the earlier ones before that wouldn't even do that. It would have like a little spot of like static So there's no real way of doing it unless you got like two VHS players next to each other and connected to each other, so you can sit there and like play on one and hit pause on the other one in order to splice them together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was crazy. So what did you guys use?
Well, he had a computer that his dad bought him. I think it had Windows XP.
Oh, so you got to use the old Windows Movie Maker.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Why
Windows
they got
Movie
rid
Maker.
of that? That was I don't know. That's
Yeah.
why I kind of.
I wish that they had some sort of like basic thing. You would think with all the media that people are putting out that would be something that would be on every computer.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm happy with iMovie. Whoops, that one iMovie. That's the one I use now, and I'm trying to get into some further stuff stuff that's down the road. I got some old versions of Final Cut Pro, but that's way over my head.
That last cut was edited on Windows Movie Maker.
Yes, it was.
No, he had a DV camera, and so we still had to plug it in, and we had to like play the shots on the camera as it was importing. It wasn't something where we could just like stick in an SD card and get all the files like it is now.
Oh yeah.
So there still was a little bit of like it was time consuming to upload things and just to work on those computers, I suppose.
The tomfoolery that goes along with it, yes.
Yeah. My mom used to tell me she was in radio, and she used to talk about cutting analog tapes and how you'd literally cut them in half and tape them together. And
oh yeah,
that just seems so tedious, but actually kind of fun if you got into it, I'm sure.
I just wondered how they could figure out where you're supposed to actually do it at. And I'm guessing you get good at it and, find little tricks and stuff. But
or figure out how fast your machine stops so you might know when to press the button, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the albums that I recorded on down the cities, we recorded on, it was like 2-inch tape or something like that. So that was all analog that way. So they did all the punch-ins and whatever else. And then we sold them the tape back after we're done, just so we didn't have to pay for it. And, I mean, it was a bunch of weirdness with all that analog type of stuff.
Yeah. I suppose it's the same nowadays with SD cards. You have to delete everything, but it's so much faster to delete it as opposed to before we would like tape over the old footage and then hope we don't need it again.
That's pretty much it. But what got you into music in the first place?
Yeah, I guess just my love for music. My mom worked at the radio station, and I got an Offspring CD when I was like 7 or 8. I got Americana, and so that kind of sent me down the punk rock road. I love Green Day as well. That was a band that my dad introduced me to when I was younger.
How old was that that CD by that point, though? I can't remember when that
came out.
Really?
It was like 97, 98, around
there.
I might have been a little younger than that.
Okay.
Right around that time. That was the first CD. I also got a lot of my musical influence from Tony Hawk Pro Skater games.
You're not the first one to say that, though. I mean, there's a lot of people that talk about all the soundtracks to the Tony Hawk games are just awesome. And they have all that punk stuff on there and everything else from the late 90s, early 2000s and all that.
Yeah, they were stacked with bangers. And my friend and I would take the game manual over to Cheapo Disc.
Oh, yeah.
And just try and find every used CD we could with anything from any of those games.
Who remembers Cheapo Disc out there?
I know.
Oh, man. It was down the cities. That was like the big treat to go to when you're in the cities. And one came here. And, I pulled out a lot of stuff out of that place, I'll tell you that.
It was pretty wonderful. And, yeah, that was really the only way. And then, of course, we would burn CDs for each other. Or I think
there's
one of my
no
friends.
Pirating. I don't know what you're talking about.
I got Weird Al CDs for Christmas from a friend, and like it seemed a little cheap at first that he was giving me a burnt CD, but I'll cherish those songs forever. It's a huge part of my life.
It's the gift of Weird Al.
I got to see Weird Al in concert the day that both of his parents died. It was a really crazy circumstance. They both died on the same day, and he was playing in Mankato. And my stepdad, Jason, had won us tickets to go see it. And we're driving to the show, and we hear this report that like both of his parents died that morning. And he decided to go on with the show. And I'll never forget that. It must have been one of the best shows he ever had in his life because it blew me away.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the best way to deal with things like that, too.
I think so, yeah. I couldn't imagine. I don't know what I would do in that circumstance.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But what started you off in the music in the first place? Besides loving it in Americana and all that other fun stuff?
Yeah, Alex had a drum kit, and so I started taking bass lessons because our friend Matt played guitar. And then we just started...
So you got defunct into the bass position?
Yeah, a little bit. I was interested in it at first. I guess I enjoyed it. I'm happy that I learned to play the bass first. It was definitely like strengthens your fingers faster.
Oh, I bet.
And then later on, I started playing more like rhythm guitar, we got a lead guitarist in the Grimways. And I guess from there, that was kind of when I started playing electric guitar more. And once that band dissolved, then I started playing acoustic more and started doing more just like solo things.
Okay, so bring us back. The Grimways.
Yes, the Grimways.
Was this your first band you've ever been in? Or?
That was the first band, yep. Or actually the only band I've been in.
Oh, was that through high school then, or from high school, or past?
Yep, probably started in 8th or 9th grade, right around the time we were making movies, started making those. So
okay.
Middle school, around that time. And the technical director at my high school, shout out to Carrie Horst, he's one of my biggest mentors.
Oh, here goes Carrie again. See, I
Yeah.
know Carrie from way back in the day.
Okay.
And I don't know if I should give out his nickname, but we had a nickname for him because he drove our bus for our drum corps.
Okay.
From the early 90s and all that. So, yeah.
We called him Care Bear.
Care Bear? No, it's not quite what we called him. It rhymed with the bus. We'll just say that.
All
it
right.
wasn't anything, demeaning. That's not what we meant by it. It was just kind of, that was just what his name was. So actually learning his real name again to me, there's a couple other friends I had in the drum corps that we gave each other nicknames right away.
Mm-hmm.
So when their parents come down, they start asking like with their real names. It always threw me. There was one guy that I didn't know for 2.5 years what his actual name was until his mother came down. And they're just like, I'm not going to say his name either, just to leave him out of this, but it was just like, I'll say Bob. Is Bob here? And I'm just like, who's Bob? And then my friends would be like, that's Bert. And I'm like, what? That's his name?
The nicknames that we get. In this little town in Arkansas, which I'll get to later, everyone called me Goat. I worked at this restaurant and there's
greatest of all time.
No, not the Goat, just like Goat.
I'm going to go with the greatest of all time.
I'm a kid at heart. I like to jump on things. I don't know. I have a very goat-like nature, I suppose. I'm not the goat. I'm just Goat. That's all.
Okay, so now you're in the Grimways.
Yep.
Grimways, there we go.
Well, Carrie put on this show at our high school called Twigstock.
Oh, that was still going on at that point.
Yep.
Yes, I played that many years before that.
That's great. Yeah, it was a great tradition, and it just if anyone in your band was in the high school, you could play.
Yep.
And so I think we might have played my 8th grade year. Like I was, middle schooler, all scared on the big high school stage.
Still, that's awesome.
Yeah, we opened up with Blitzkrieg Bop by the Ramones.
Oh, a staple. Staple to start with, yes.
And definitely, like, as far as, like, songs to learn how to jam in a band, a great song to start with.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that kind of progressed. We eventually, we all had a house together for a couple years. The old Grimway house.
Now, those of you out there, if you want to keep a band together, don't do that.
Don't get a house together. I guess the band kind of did dissolve at the end of us staying together, but it was mainly because I wanted to travel around and do things, and I guess the other guys didn't want to travel as much or move around. So I moved to the cities, and I lived with my mom for a little bit because my mom lives in the Twin Cities.
Okay.
I grew up here with my dad in Moorhead, and I would just get traded back and forth on summers and weekends, things like that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, once I was living there, I started playing more acoustic guitar, and then my friend Lucid and I, we were going to get an apartment together, but we decided to just start traveling instead of getting a place. We were kind of like looking for places in Minneapolis, but I had a job. I was just running food at a billiards hall. And, like, it was okay. Like, I was making fine money or whatever, but it was just, like, not really what I was supposed to do,
Oh, it wasn't a career? What are you talking about?
It wasn't a career, no. The billiards hall. So, yeah, it was January, and we just wanted to travel around. And we had come up with a little bit of, like, street miming that we were going to do. And then we were also going to play guitar. That was going to be how we were going to fund our travels.
Street miming?
Yes, we were going to do a little street miming.
Okay.
That turned out to be more difficult than we anticipated because we were on the road, so we were living in like free campsites, and like with the makeup and everything, it was just a hassle to get in and get out of the mime suit. It was way easier just to go and open up the guitar case on the street corner and busk for an hour and make whatever you need for food and gas that day.
I can about imagine. You're trying to do this like at rest stops and stuff. That's what I'm picturing.
Not at rest stops as much, but just like in metropolitan areas. So we would go to like a city. The first place I ever street performed was in Fayetteville, Arkansas, of all places. That's where the University of Arkansas is. And I think it was Dixie Street. I don't remember exactly, but we set up just next to some train tracks. There was this a place that seemed like it had a lot of foot traffic, and that was the first place that I ever performed on the street.
So did you do the full face paint and everything then too?
When we did the mime, we
Yeah.
would, but that was short lived because after we did that a couple times, we realized that it was like impossible to. It was just a hassle to clean up, and I think we made more money playing guitar too than we did as street mimes. So
I can about imagine. That's the thing that goes through my mind is just like the logistics of how you can make that happen. You just walk into some random bathroom and then throw all this stuff on and walk out again. People just be like,
yeah.
what's going on?
or like cleaning it in a public bathroom is not fun. It makes a mess everywhere. Like it's bad enough getting that makeup off at home.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? Yuck. But that's an experience you can take with you. That's all I can say.
Yep. I did that a couple times. Yeah, while we were traveling, we went to this place called Eureka Springs. We'd initially gone to St. Louis because we had a person that we knew living there. And his girlfriend gave me this book on tarot cards. And this is one of my like earliest like intentional manifestations. I had a deck of cards that I got from an army surplus store, tarot cards, and it just had like a little booklet that came with it and just like a couple lines about each of the cards. So I wanted to learn more about the cards so I could use them. And so I knew I needed like some sort of literature. I didn't want to like look it up online because that didn't seem like the right way to do it. I didn't want to buy the book because it seemed like something that I was just going to stumble across on accident or whatever. And I don't steal things, so I'm not going to go and steal the book. And so I just waited and I visualized it. I knew it was coming. And we got to St. Louis. We first went to St. Louis because it was January. And we're like, okay, if we can cut the country in half, you know, everything below St. Louis, we should be able to camp in. You know, we're in our early 20s. We're from Minnesota. Like, cold is a state of mind. We're going to do this. Kind of gung-ho. And so in St. Louis, I got to talking about tarot cards with, her name is Mariah. And she's like, I think I should give you this. And she hands me a book that says everything you need to know on tarot cards. And
I'm just sitting over here with an inquisitive look on my face. It's like, what is going on? This is awesome.
Yeah. So the book comes to me, and she had bought it at this bookstore called Gazebo Books in this town called Eureka Springs in the northwest corner of Arkansas. And so I saw the bookmark and I asked her about the town. She's like, oh, you guys absolutely have to go to Eureka Springs. Because we didn't have a plan as to where we were going. Like, we were just out on the road. Like, the plan was there is no plan. So it's like, okay.
Free spirits. Oh, I'd love to do that one day.
Yes.
Oh, that's one of the dreams I have.
I highly recommend it. It had been instilled with me from my upbringing. My mom does this thing every now and then with her friends called like the Minnesota Mystery Tour, where they literally, I might be saying this wrong, but I'm pretty sure they just flip a coin every time they come to a crossroads. And then eventually they just wind up somewhere.
That is a great idea.
Yeah.
Kudos to your mom
Why
on
not?
that. Oh my gosh. Because I got my Mustang project out in the garage here, and I know as soon as I get that running, me and the dog are going to be out rolling the back roads of North Dakota. That'd be an interesting way of doing it. I'm going to steal that from your
Who
mother.
knows where you might wind up? And one of the things I like about tarot cards is I trust like A, my own intuition, and B, like whatever forces that be. I don't know what they are. So like with the coin flip thing, like I could live off of a bunch of coin flip choices. Like, and that's how we have to make up our mind for this trip. Like, cool, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
That just sounds like so much fun. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because the adventure on that, just meeting new people and just not knowing what's going to happen next. But then, you know, everything's always cool.
Yeah.
Everything's always cool. There's always something good at the end of it.
I'll talk a little bit later when I talk about how I get tickets to things. You know, how important it is to have conversations with just random people. I think it really like humbles people. And I've had interactions and built relationships with people all over this country. And what I've learned is, well, for one, we have more in common than we do differences.
Yes.
And two, the things that are different about us is what makes life so much fun. So like one of my favorite sayings is, as iron sharpens iron, people sharpen people. So I love communicating with strange people. It's easier said than done sometimes, and sometimes I'm just not in the mood to talk to anyone. You know, there's a balance to my life too. I don't want to go out and do this every single day.
That
But
never happens.
on the days that you do, like one day you might be in the company of an electrician and you might learn something about electricity that you never knew, or you might be with like a pastor one day and like gaining their insight can help shape your life in a positive way. Or parents, I always ask parents, like, what's the most important thing you learned from raising your child? And 95% of them say patience. And so patience is something that I just try and instill in my everyday life. I don't know where Cito went today, but like I was saying, like we could just wait for him. That's fine. Who cares if we wait for a little bit or that?
Oh yeah,
but
we waited. Hopefully he does show up.
he might.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys because I like I said, I like to talk to people and learn from other people. I recognize that this show today is about me, so I'm supposed to share my story and talk about myself. But I was going to ask you guys a couple questions too.
Oh, you can always ask questions. I have a question for you already. Is those cards that you brought, is that tarot cards now?
No.
Or do you got something else in mind here?
This is my card game. This is called Scratch Phrase.
Interesting.
I suppose we could bust that out at any time, really.
Well, we can. We can or we don't have to. I don't know. I just we were talking about tarot cards. I'm just like, did he bring us that? What's going on?
Yeah. No, I didn't bring my tarot cards with me today. I do use them quite frequently. They're less about like telling the future as much as they are like provoking a thought or guiding your train of thoughts in certain directions. Like,
gotcha.
Some people look at them like, oh, they're mysterious and this and that. Really, all they are is just a vehicle to move your thought from where it's at to where it's inevitably supposed to be. And that's where I think that there's like some certain forces in the universe that might shove a certain card your way if you need to hear it, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing.
Maybe so. You're not into the Ouija boards then too, are you?
The Ouija board is an interesting medium. I'm sure that there are people that are really good at using it, but I have not put a whole lot of
You'll never see one in this house. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I think we did have a skit one time where my friend was predicting the future with the Ouija board, and he was like, "You're gonna have to check back with me on this one."
We talk ghost stories and stuff. I got so many weird ones for you, and I'm not lying unless I'm gone schizophrenic at those times. But it was some interesting experiences I've had in the past.
Yeah, there's
so the Ouija board is no.
The Ouija board is a no. Are you afraid of it? Is that what it is, or?
Well, I just don't want the responsibility of anything that actually happens from. We'll just say that.
Sure. I guess that's kind of fair. I would rather not know too. Ignorance is beautiful bliss. And my best defense is ignorance.
True enough. So you're out traveling around now. So you're basically being homeless, but you have a purpose.
Yeah. So this town that the book came from, Eureka Springs, quickly became just my favorite place in the world. Like, it is, if I could recommend going to one place anywhere, it was literally just the first place I wound up. Lucid and I got there, and we found this flyer for this poetry potluck night. And we're like, okay, this is what we're out to do. Just a couple of our songs, I've written poetry, so it's like, we'll just say some of these things, get a nice warm meal, and then head back to our campsite, and that'll be a day's success. And at the poetry night, we met these two ladies, Harry and Nancy. And Nancy had this house in Eureka Springs, which is it's a smaller town, like it's a historical district. And so there aren't a whole lot of like residents there, but she has this tiny little house on Mountain Street. It's like a 45-degrent angle to get up it.
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, you guys can come and crash in the art studio in our basement. And so we just went home and hung out with Nancy, and she brought some friends over. And she is an ex oil technician. Sorry, Nancy, I don't know what you call yourself. She worked for, oh, goodness gracious, the Exxon, one of the oil companies. I feel terrible for not remembering, but,
an oil company.
Yeah, so that was like her. She's like she has this picture of her, and she's like, I was corporate Nancy for 25 years, and then she kind of like broke out of her shell a little bit and became what I now call my crazy hippie aunt. She's the most wonderful lady in the world, and she took us in. She has Parkinson's, so she needed help with some things around the house. So while we were there, we helped her like clean up her backyard And I think I helped her paint her roof with this one guy. She had a flat roof, so it needed to be painted.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Yep.
and she like cooked with us. Like she showed us around town, and then she was like, the next place you guys gotta go is Tulsa. So she like gave us direction too. And since that trip, I've gone back there several times. I lived there for a little while. I actually lived in her old house. She moved to another one, and I rented out her old house for a while.
Brilliant. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. She's an amazing person. Like I said, she's my aunt. She's become family. And every time we were just there to visit in October for my birthday, and she came and stayed in the cabin with us the whole time. So like she's friends with my mom and all my other friends now too.
Oh, wow. So you're still keeping in touch and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's awesome. That is really cool. How long ago did you meet her?
Must have been 2015, I think we met her.
That's
right when we started.
Still, yeah. That's coming up 7 years.
I suppose. Yeah, it's crazy how that number grows and grows and grows as quickly as it can.
Oh, don't feel bad. You start telling stories and then you start counting back and you're going into decades now instead of just years.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that'll happen faster. I've already experienced it a little bit. Nancy introduced me to just a lot of neat culture in Arkansas. I like to call it Eureka Springs is in the Bible Belt. So like for as red as that sea of land is considered to be, like Eureka Springs is in a town of 2,000 people, like the intense blue opposition balancing out the Bible Belt. Like it is just a crazy little hippie town. And I learned things there. Like I went to Nancy took me to a sound meditation class, hosted by this lady named Rebecca. She teaches, she does like singing bowls, and I don't know. She had this weird instrument. It was like a boxed accordion thing. I can never remember. It has a weird name, but you just sit and she has all these chants that you do, kind of sort of monotonous, but sort of like spiritually uplifting chants, and gets you into this like really cool headspace, you know, because you're breathing and you're harmonizing with all these people. You're kind of like massaging yourself from within with your vocal cords.
Oh, so it's like meditation with sound.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
And then she closes it by playing these big crystal sound bowls that just shake everything around you. And she'll get me like seeing colors. I don't completely understand like the chakras and how those work, but she'll say like this is this chakra, and she'll say like you'll see red when you hear this tone, and like I don't know, maybe it's just because she says that then I go and see red. That could be what it is, but there's something to it.
Gets you into that, a nice basically vacation from your own mind. So,
there's nothing more relaxing than doing one of those meditations. They really and that taught me, that made me realize how important singing is, because singing is kind of like, it's like massaging yourself from within. You know, like you can take a vibrator and, you know, rub your back with it or whatever, or other parts of your body. And
we'll leave that alone.
Yeah. But that's just like external. With your vocal cords, like you resonate from your core. And so I've got a singing bowl now, and every now and then, like when I need to kind of shake things off, like that's a good way to do it. Or just laying in a heap in the shower and singing is another way to do it too, depending on what ails you that day. So, that class happened at this church called the Heart of Many Ways. I think it's a Sufi thing. I think that's what they call themselves. I never completely understood what it was, but essentially what the services were like, they would do 9 songs and 9 scripture readings from like the 9 major religious books. So they'd do like a Jewish, a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist. They had Divine Feminist. They had Zoroastrian. There was a Native American thing. And they would do like a little scripture from each of those books. And then at the end, the sermon would be about like that one topic. And it would kind of show how all of these religions are all teaching the same exact thing. So it kind of teaches like that the path to enlightenment is, there are many paths to enlightenment. You know, it's ultimately just the path that you choose to go down that winds up being your path.
It's just all the stuff that, you just run into. And this is all by accident too.
Completely by accident. Yeah. I think back to the night that we decided to travel. I remember sitting in my mom's living room, and we'd been looking at apartments, and like that night we just decided that we were going to do that and travel. And like that changed everything. That changed the path. Like that was the most significant decision in my life, was to just take a leap of faith and see what happens. I had a lot of support from my parents. Like we were talking about my mom's adventurous side. My dad also helped me a lot too. He provided me with my first car growing up, and he gave me this 2002 Chevy Impala, and I put almost 200,000 miles on that thing before I sold it. So he has a car shop in town. So if you ever need your car fixed or anything, or that Mustang project is giving you a headache, there might be something there that could help you out.
That would never give me wait.
Well, don't feel bad. My dad had a Mustang. He still has a Mustang that I was apparently supposed to take in middle school. He told me that I could take my senior prom date to prom in it. And that Mustang is still not finished yet. So here we are.
Because I had my first Mustang in high school, and I spent the entire time there restoring the thing. It was 64 and a half. Silver smoke gray, engine code U. So it was the smallest engine they put into a Mustang in the 60s, a 170 straight six. But they only made that engine for 6 months. And that gave me so much grief trying to find parts for that dang thing.
Yeah.
But I did get to bring I think it was my junior year prom date in that car. And that was the only time it actually went to prom. So I kind of feel bad about that, at least for that car. But then I sold it off because I was going to school in Texas, and my grandma was having problems with me parking it in her garage at that point. So it was like and I just bought a drum set, and that was really expensive. So it was, what do I do? I can't if I even get the car down to Texas, I had no place to park it. So I just told my brother to sell it off, and that was the last time I ever saw it. And I'm still sad, but
that's how things go.
Now I got the 66 out in the garage. It's almost the same color. It's the same body style and everything else, just little tiny differences.
Sure. Yeah. The reason why my dad hasn't finished that Mustang is because that man hustles in the car shop. He specializes in alignments, brakes, and suspension. So not only did he taught me how to fix cars, or how to fix like some of the easier things on cars. Like he definitely has to help me with bigger things like a transmission switch I'm pretty much useless in, but doing my own brakes, doing my own tires, my own oil and stuff like that, diagnosing electrical problems. Those are things that I can
He sounds like a good guy.
Yeah.
I got to get to know this guy.
Well, he definitely helped me out. Like I would not have been able to travel if I didn't have, for one, the vehicle, because he paid for that. And then two, when things would go awry, like I was in New Mexico, got my car stuck, got rescued by these guys. This is a whole nother story we could go into. But they let me stay at their place for a week or so. And the Benavidez brothers, I became part of their clan too. But the first time I was there, the brakes in my car were grinding. And one of the goals while I was there was to go into Santa Fe, busk, make enough money to buy some brakes and fix them. And Teddy and Manuel had some jacks and some tools, and boy, did we get those brakes fixed in a hurry.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's really, like I said, I had a lot of support from my family. I think it probably drove my grandmother crazy that I was like off just kind of randomly, like, who knows what I could get into. But I put a lot of faith into my intuition and into, the universe, whatever it is, to provide me with enlightenment. It's kind of like your perception becomes your reality. If you go out looking for a fight, you're probably going to find a fight, But if you go out and look for the next piece of iron to sharpen your sword against, or some piece of enlightenment, you'll probably find that too. Or the universe has a way of fulfilling needs. Like if you need food or gas, like you might have to work for it a little bit, but your needs, we have a basic set of needs, and they've always been met up until this point. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
Let's get into some of your photos then while we're going through all these stories here. You sent me
great.
A ton of them, and I love it. I love it. So let's see here. Make sure that I'm on the right thing. Okay.
Yeah, this is the recital we had in December. I'm the studio manager at AMP School of Music.
The AMP School of Music, yes.
It's a part-time gig, but it's a really creatively wholesome endeavor. It's a labor of love to work for these students. I manage the schedules. I follow up with potential new students, and then get feedback from other students. I help teachers out when they need their schedules adjusted, and if they need anything during lessons.
So you keep everything all nice and organized for everybody.
Yep.
So that's a that's a role that needs to be taken.
It is, and
hopefully we can get some more people from the AMP School of Music in here.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Absolutely, I believe that could happen soon. I don't see why not. We just got some new guitar teachers that are really great.
Cool.
We have this one dude, Billy Kidd. He performed with Cher and Barry Manilow. He
What?
toured with Barry Manilow.
Oh my
and
god!
He's teaching at a school in Fargo. It's pretty cool.
In Fargo, oh,
he's
it's awesome.
like our jack of all trades. Like he teaches drums, piano, voice. He's doing some ensembles right now, so that's kind of our big thing. We just got a youth ensemble as kids aged like 9 to 13 or so, and they performed at our open mic earlier this month, and it was just so cool to see them perform. We have a video of it, AMP School of Music, on YouTube. So if you want to see that, I think some of those kids in the picture there played at it. But
okay, and I'll make sure that there's a link down below for everyone to get to that.
Sure, I can get that in there.
Cool. So what's
these are my siblings. I'm big brother. That's role number 1 in my life.
Big brother.
My parents had me, and then they got divorced, and then my dad has 3 other kids, and my mom has 2 other kids. So that's Carter and Cassidy. They're my mother's 2 other offspring, and I also have Savannah and Sydney and Aaron on my dad's side. One of the most important things in my life is influencing the younger generation. I think that's why I love my job at AMP so much.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's always been about like empowering youth creatively. I think that's really like my life's mission. I always say I've been sent here to help the human race transcend to a higher level of consciousness, but I don't know what that means. So I mainly just try and get people to figure out what they can do, what they enjoy doing creatively, and get them on a path to refining that skill and getting it to a point where they're confident enough to share it with people. Because I think we need that.
That's beautiful. And the guitar in the background. Had to point that out.
This is the Grimways.
The Grimways.
Matt on bass, Corey on guitar, and AT on drums. Alex was the drummer. Was the guy who lived across the street from me. We're still making comedy skits. I was over at his house writing stuff yesterday.
Beautiful.
I'm going to be making a skit show in VR. So that's why I did bring the headset. I don't know if you want to see it later.
Definitely.
I could actually probably show you that after the podcast. I had Ken wear that on a radio show one time, and it was bad radio. Like it was just the host was just watching a video, and I was describing what he was seeing. I imagine it must have been torture for the people listening to it.
Sounds like a plan to me. Vikings. Here we go.
This is the ticket thing. I got to get around to this eventually.
Yes.
In 2013, it was the last year at the Metrodome, and like I told you before we started, I am a Minnesota sports rube. That's what they call us on K-Fan. We're the people we're the homers, we're the
gotcha.
And I have
he's referencing all the Simpsons stuff I have in this room.
Yeah. I definitely feel at home surrounded by the Simpsons stuff.
Oh.
I grew up in the Metrodome. That's where my dad and my mom and my stepdad took me to so many games. So the last year that they did that, I set off as my goal to go to every single game that last season at the Metrodome. And I had gone to a couple of them, but one came up and I just didn't have money for a ticket. And so there was a time a few years prior that I had an extra ticket. Me and my friends had 4 tickets and there was just 3 of us. And we couldn't find anyone to give it to. Scalpers didn't want to buy it, or they'd give us like little to nothing for it. And plus we didn't want some like weirdo sitting by us or something. Like we didn't know what was going to happen.
True.
So that seat just went empty, and this game came up. I didn't have a ticket. I wanted to go to it. Like I didn't want my dream to just die there after a couple games. So I went outside the Metrodome with a sign. It was on the back of a notebook. It was really wordy. It said like Metrodome enthusiast, diehard Vikings fan, looking for extra ticket, please, thank you. And I just held up the sign, and a couple people were like, how much do you want to give me for it? I'm like, I don't have any money. Like I can't help you with anything. And then finally this guy came up to me. I was thinking about this today. I've not talked to him since then, but I wish I could, because like his generosity towards me that day also greatly shaped the rest of my life in one of the most profound ways. He had been stood up by his date. He was going to bring a girl to the game. She stood him up, so he was kind of grouchy, but he was in the mood to like party, and he had this extra ticket. And he's like, I tell you what, if you buy me a screwdriver, I'll take you into the game. And so I was like, okay, I had maybe like 10, 15 bucks on me. I was like, okay, we'll buy you a screwdriver. And yeah, he brought me in, sat me on the 40-yard line. After I bought him a screwdriver, he just bought us like food and drinks the rest of the way. Like it was a profound, generous experience. But the guy was just ready to party, and he was happy to have someone. Like it would have been an otherwise empty seat, but to have someone that was enthusiastic and cheering along with them. The Vikings lost 35-3. They got absolutely destroyed. I think it was the Panthers, I believe.
The Panthers.
Yeah. And at that point, we had lost every game, so it wasn't a surprise.
What?
But we stayed till the end. I called it soaking up the dome, sitting and basking and underneath the inflatable roof. And yeah, I guess the rest is kind of history with the signage. I've been to hundreds of games with these signs.
Oops,
no, that's okay.
Sign one.
Yeah, there should be some more in there. Keep scrolling through them.
I got to hear about that one. We'll get back to that. Puppies. Stuff.
VR card game.
There we go.
Here we go. Yeah,
Wild.
more signs. This is a cool story. This guy is named Mike. This is an Arizona Coyotes game. This was maybe the third or fourth Coyotes game I'd been to. I had spent quite a bit of time in Glendale just because the weather's really nice. And on this trip specifically, I was able to do Uber and Lyft while I was in Glendale. I did that across the country, and some states wouldn't let you, but Arizona would let you. So I stayed there for like 10 or 11 days just racking up money doing Uber and Lyft. But this game specifically, I just had a feeling like that day, I was like, I'm going to get a really good ticket today. Because like the cool thing about the sign is like sometimes you're in the nosebleeds, but sometimes you're in the suites. Like I've been in the worst possible seat, and I've had seats where like everything is comped and you get everything you could possibly imagine. But no matter what, if someone is nice enough to give you their extra ticket, they're usually pretty awesome people too. And you get to spend 3 to 4 hours you're just part of their group. You get to learn about them. I get to share about myself, hopefully enlighten them in a little bit, but also like I gain from their life experience as well. And so after the Metrodome thing, I started going to all these games. Like I went to like 35 wild games that first year after I started doing the sign things.
My God.
And it maybe failed me like 3 or 4 times that year. Like I get in about 95% of the time when I do that.
That is awesome.
And
I've been to some North Stars games back in the day. I don't think I've ever been to a wild one yet.
I would have loved to have seen the North Stars play at the old Met. That'd have been cool. But yeah, with the sign thing, I kind of
So that's all you do is just put that wild fan seeks spare seat, and then people will approach you on that?
You hold it up. You try and find a street corner where it's like illegal to hold signs, usually like where other scalpers are.
Yeah.
Starting out, especially like in Minneapolis area, the scalpers got to know me. And at first they used to give me a bunch of crap, but now all the scalpers love me because they see it. It works almost every time. Like they kind of think I'm like stomping on their turf. But again, I'm just looking for that one single ticket, And so many different stories. I had got a ticket from a chiropractor one time, and he was like, yeah, I was going to give it to my friend, but he backed out. I was like, ha, because he's a chiropractor. People getting stood up by dates, or, their family members are out of town. Guy got an extra ticket because his school had a bunch of tickets to this Tim McGraw Faith Hill show. So I sat in a suite with them. And a couple of years ago, my last like big adventure of my 20s, I set off to go to every single stadium in one season. I got to a couple games. I went to a game in New York. I saw the Jets and the Giants play. And then I saw a game in Pittsburgh. It was during the preseason. And then the transmission in my Acadia went out. So I had to overcome that. I had to...
No.
It was a kind of a bummer. It derailed the go to every stadium thing, but I was able to. I did a crowdfunding campaign. I raised enough money to get a U-Haul and a car transport. And my little brother Carter was with me. We stayed at my aunt and uncle's. They just happened to live a couple hours out of Pittsburgh. So that was kind of a cool, like, that's something where something dire happened to me, but I got to like go meet family members that I otherwise never would have talked to. And so I got to build relationships with a couple of cousins and stuff.
These adventures are freaking beautiful. You're making okay.
After we got the car back, I dumped everything that I had into savings into a new transmission. And of course, my dad helped me, or he did all the work on the transmission. He put the whole thing in for me. And then I continued on. Yeah, a couple times I held the light, or I usually go and like sweep the floors. He's the kind of guy that he will help everyone, but he just doesn't ask for help from anyone else. So you kind of got to just go like, I want to help him, but it's like, if you don't just go and like do it yourself, he'll never ask you to do anything because he's just that kind of guy. Like I said, he hustles at his shop. I'm like really proud of everything he's built there.
He's got to get that Mustang done. We can compare.
He does. Yes. Yeah.
What year is his? Do you have any idea?
Oh, I'm probably wrong, but I think it's a 67.
Beautiful body style.
Yeah.
Anything in the 60s, I love it.
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
All right, but now we got puppies.
Yeah.
Not like my big horses in the backyard, but
Cardinal, this is Cardinal's son. He was definitely one of my most successful intentional manifestations. We did a little intention ceremony on the night of a blood moon and a lunar eclipse. It was also like a wolf moon because it was the first full moon of the year. So it was like Wikipedia refers to it as the super blood wolf moon. So this is Cardinal's son. He was manifested under the super blood wolf moon of 2019. We all got together and in our little ceremony, we made little moon amulets. We opened up my friend had this book on kids witchcraft, and we opened it up to a random page, and it said, make your own moon amulets. So we're like, moon ceremony. We opened it up to the moon amulet page. We're going to make our own moon amulets out of bread and crazy glue and glitter. And so we all made sculptures of the things that we wanted. We wrote down like our intentions for the coming year. And my biggest one was I'm ready to have a dog. Like I had gotten to the point in my life where it's like I'd done a lot of traveling. So if I was going to do any more traveling, it'd be cool to have a canine companion.
yes.
And plus I just love dogs. Like it was at that point in my life, I was 27, 28, which is around the time that Saturn returns to the house it was in when you're born. That's supposed to signify like you settling into your life.
Is that what happens at that age?
It's around
I
that
noticed
time.
that myself. It just, okay.
Cool.
That's kind of making more sense.
So yeah, Cardinal came to me 6 weeks later. One of the ladies, I was housekeeping. I was living in that town in Arkansas, Eureka Springs, and I was housekeeping for this vacation rental company. And I would just go out to these like beautiful cabins in the Ozarks and clean them. That was my job. And this lady named Sophia, she worked with me there. And she's just this like bright little punky spirit. She posted online that she had 2 dogs that had been found near a dumpster or something like that. And I was like, I saw the picture and I was like, that's the guy. I'm like, there he is. Like he manifested. And took him into the vet a couple days later. And the vet estimated that he had been born 6 weeks prior, which would put it pretty much exactly on the night of our moon ceremony.
Oh my gosh.
So I know that
I'm
dog
getting
was
chills.
born that night.
This
and,
is so cool.
He's truly like my perfect companion. This is him. One of the first days I had him, I opened up my guitar case in the house I was staying at to restring my guitar. And I'm restringing it at the table, and I turn around and he's just laying in my guitar case. It's he just went and made his bed in my guitar case. So it's like, that's where you're going to be when I perform. You're going to hang out there. This is Rogue. This is my cat, my fiance's cat.
The Calico.
Yep. The last trip, right? Finished the transmission, went off. I was on the road for, I think, from October to the end of January. I went all the way to... I went down through Nashville to the Atlanta area, went to a game in Jacksonville, visited my cousin in Savannah, Georgia, and then went all the way across the states, stopped at a couple of places along the way, back in Arkansas, went to a game in Oklahoma City, did the stuff in Arizona, met my dad in Vegas, Grand Canyon, and then met my mom in LA for her birthday. So this is all that one trip. That was like the end of my travels for me. Because when I came back to town, that was right around the time that COVID started making an impact on our lives. And that was when I started hanging out with Katie. And around that time, I'd done another ceremony where I'd set my intentions on my partner. Because that was like the next phase in my life, was to meet the person that I meant to share and help grow and someone to take care of me, because good Lord.
I can't imagine.
I'm a very, as crazy and as awesome as all these things sound, I swear I exist in like a perfect balance where like I have as much of like negative things go on in my life, or I deal with some like depression and a little bit of stuff with some like substance abuse as well. So that's kind of, like I said, I know that I need to have someone looking out after me. And so that was when Katie manifested into my life, and we got engaged in October. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. Getting married in March of next year. It's March 20th, 2023. So 3/23/2023.
I gotcha. Nice.
Or 3/20/2023. It's the...
Not the 4/20.
Right. I've always told people, too, with 4/20, it would be more significant if I didn't do anything that day. That would be a greater change in my life than the normal. This is my mother and her husband, Donnie. I think this is at JL Beers. They're awesome. Like I said, my mother's spirit helped me. Her support with the travel. I think she lived vicariously through me, so that she always gave me a lot of support, especially like, on the down days. You could always call mom and check in with her. She'd always be the one to send you like $100. My grandma would send me money too, because they're always like worried. They're like, how can you possibly make a living and with just your guitar? And it works. It's not glamorous, but you can make it happen.
Yeah, keep your expenses down, all that stuff. Oh, you can make things happen.
Another picture. This is my sister Savannah. This is a cool picture. This is a 360 photo. So we're getting into the VR stuff.
Okay.
That was kind of the whole reason I did the trip with I wanted to go to every single stadium and capture it in VR. I had just gotten the 360 camera.
Okay.
And that had become like a new staple in my life. I was able to turn like the metaphysical, like the idea, into the physical, and then capture it in VR and put it back into the metaphysical. So it's kind of that weird back and forth.
It makes the complete circle. Yep, just like the 360. Ha!
Yes, exactly. Big Brother again. This is Carter and Cassidy.
Show them who's boss.
Right. This is a skit. We had a skit in the original Matt Cook show where the camera was in the oven. We're like, let's see if it's ready. And they're like, oh, who put the camera in the oven? Like, that's not supposed to be in there. Like, how long has it been in there? Like 20 minutes. Oh, cameras need like 35 minutes to cook. And then you shut the door. So when I got the VR camera, it's like, well, we got to stick the VR camera in the in the stove. So that's more Matt Cook show. There's a picture of my dad. This might be him fixing... I don't think this was my transmission. This was another day. The 360 photos are cool. You can do things like Tiny Planet. So like what you're seeing framing him is what's behind the camera, and he's in front of the camera. But the camera captures everything. So you put your subject in the frame of what's around it. So that's why you kind of see like the two tires from the vehicle. It really makes for some captivating shots. I absolutely love the camera too. It's you can record video and it kind of just hides in the room. Because it's just a little box. Like people get weird when a camera gets out, but people don't get as weird when the 360 camera's out. Or they might forget about it. And if you're recording video, you just wait until a moment where someone makes a joke and everyone's laughing, and you get just the greatest pictures of people, like the most genuine, sincere reactions from people just kind of by hiding. You want to be tactful. You don't want to be like recording people without them knowing. Like they definitely, I'm sticking this camera in the center of the thing, but after a while it just kind of blends into the background. So
precisely.
This is earlier this year. This was at the Vikings Seahawks game. This is my spot at the new stadium. I did get to every game the last year at the Metrodome and every game the first year at the new stadium. And my big thing was getting the game day pins. So I have a collection of, it's probably my prize collection is all the pins from the first year at the new stadium.
Beautiful.
Last year at the new stadium. And this is the sign thing. I didn't mind just holding up the sign. I've done that for, like I said, probably hundreds of games. But I've recently started doing it where I street perform. So it kind of feels like I'm working for the ticket a little bit more. This was a day I did not get into this game. This was the Seahawks game earlier this year, and Katie and I didn't get in. We did get into a preseason game earlier this year. See, the cool thing about having a partner is like I have someone to go with me now, but now we have to get two tickets that are preferably together. So we're going to a game this weekend. We bought tickets for it, and but we went to the Green Day concert last year.
Oh, nice.
We did this. We went to the Rolling Stones concert. I was at the same spot, and we got in. We got really good tickets to both of those shows, and we were tickets next to each other, so it's possible to do with two people. But I always, like, I never felt like a mooch going and getting free tickets from people. Some people would kind of be like, you're just kind of a bum or whatever. But in my mind, I was filling an otherwise empty seat, and my goal was to go in there and to make everybody sitting around that seat have a better experience because I was there. Like whether it be like high-fiving people, or sharing stories, asking people questions. I used to have this like stack of football stickers, and I would. Scratch phrase started by me wanting to get all of the football stickers out of those quarter machines.
Yeah.
And so these cards are the little folders.
Oh, nice.
That come in them. And so I initially wanted to get like a whole collection of the helmets because I'm a rube, but then I started playing scratch phrase with it, and that stemmed from this other game that my friends and I had. Getting back to the stickers, I had excess football stickers. And with the ticket thing, I'd go around, and if you were wearing a Cardinals jersey to a Vikings-Lions game, I was going to walk up to you, hand you a Cardinal sticker, say Skol Vikings, and give you a high five. And that's kind of my little way of balancing out, the generosity that was being given to me. Because I like I said, I believe I'm a Libra, so I believe that the universe exists in a perfect balance. And so for every uplifting and awesome experience, you either need to pay that back or you're going to go through hell for a little bit. This was at the Green Day show this past year. That's Katie.
Love the Zubas.
Yes. Yeah, she got me into Zubas. When I first started dating her, she let me wear a pair of her dad's old Zubas, and then we started buying them for each other. So we're definitely a Zuba family. This was a hockey team I was on.
Well, you're in Moorhead. You got to play hockey at some point. Yes.
I had never actually played it. I played a little bit in my driveway. I had a hockey net. I play on roller skates.
Okay.
But I never played it on ice until this year. There's this thing called the Fargo Pond Hockey Classic. They have 3 different divisions. So we were called the Biscuit Benders. And we went ahead and made our T-shirts, got our team together. It's a 3-on-3 hockey tournament. We lost every game. I think the first game we played, the team scored within like 5 seconds. Like it was fast, and we just were never on top ever since then. But it was so much fun. It was a very humbling experience, and it felt natural. Like you said, growing up in this area. It was kind of in my blood to do that.
Yeah, you have to play at least 1 year. So
that's the Biscuit Benders.
Biscuit Benders.
Good stuff. This is my brother Carter. This is at a Twins game. Carter also plays guitar and sings.
Nice.
He went with me for some of that trip. Like I said before, the transmission broke down. He was with me. And in this one, we just went outside the Twins game one day and played for about an hour. And we got 5 tickets that day.
Jeez.
So we went in and just went and sat with everyone that gave us tickets for an inning or two and figured out what they were about and thanked them, moved on our way. This is a picture of me in my element at Amped.
There you go.
That's Brandon at the studio manager Brandon.
Cracking the whip, keeping everyone in line.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That might be the full cycle.
Yep. I just got to go through the back of your puppy pictures.
Yeah.
Because we have to. Oh, what about skateboarding?
Skateboarding, yeah. I was a big skater growing up.
Okay. Where's this at? This definitely ain't in town.
This is in that town in Arkansas, Eureka Springs.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
And this looks way more vast than it actually is because it's that 360 camera where I'm really distorting the thing.
Okay.
I mean, that's probably about 8 feet up, but I've never been super great at skateboarding. I can drop into things like that, but I guess those days are kind of getting fewer and far between.
Is that an old swimming pool then, or is that made?
No, that was a skate park that they made.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, that's Cardinal's first allowance.
Oh.
When I was working I was serving at a fine dining restaurant there.
The deer horn.
I would take a little bit, like a big chunk would go to the bank, a small chunk would go into my pocket. I really love the Fibonacci sequence. So I would pick like a Fibonacci number and set those numbers of money aside. And then whatever was left over, I'd give to Cardinal for his allowance. So we had to get him a jar. He's great at the disc golf course. I disc golf quite a bit. That's one of my hobbies.
He's got it.
And this is
VR.
AT and his girl Steph. They're in VR.
Excellent. Well, cool. Well, we got to get on to what's going on this weekend out there. So
yeah,
I'd be yelling at Cito right now, but I'm just basically going to yell at me. What's going on out there this weekend? Okay, with our Uptown Report. At the Windbreak, we have Sushi Roll on Thursday and Saturday, the 21st and 23rd. Then Tripwire will be out there rocking it out on Friday, 22nd. Southtown Poorhouse up in Grand Forks, Sushi Roll will be playing their Friday. They're in between shows at the Windbreak. At the Shooting Star in Monoman, America will be out there this Friday. And then Switch will be in the Mustang Lounge Friday and Saturday. At the Sanctuary, we got some, Time Bomb Pro Wrestling. Oh my gosh. I haven't ever been to one of these type of pro wrestling things. I've been to the ones from like WWF back in the day where you had like Superfly Snuka and those guys and the Hulk. Not the Hulk. You know what I'm talking about out there. But basically, that's the ones I've been to. Then the Fargo Dome, Mercy Me is going to be out here on Friday. So lots of big things happening this weekend. At our Downtown Acoustic Corner for Thursday, April 21st, tomorrow, Rick Adams will be at Pub West. On Friday, I couldn't find anything. So if anyone else knows what's going on out there on Friday for at least acoustic music, let me know. Saturday, April 23rd, we have Jim Way at the Silver Dollar Flying Pig. Rick Adams will be at the Moorhead American Legion. Is it Roman and Rick will be at the Silver Spike, Mick Klein at Rookies, Charlie and Mary at the Troll Lounge, and Zach Thomas hanging out the Swing Barrel. Now we're going downtown at the Fargo VFW. Smith and Lovin will be out there rocking it Friday to Saturday, 22nd to 23rd at the Troll Lounge, Americana Roots Music Mixer next Tuesday. That sounds kind of like a fun little jam with basically, I was reading the description, but it's like any style of music. They're just going to try to mix it all together and see what happens. So that'd be really interesting. Bar 9, we got Special Blend playing at Friday. And the Cellar, we got Vic Pandey. I don't know if that's going to be stand-up comedy. We're going out there at the Cellar this weekend. For the Front Street, we got Vinyl and Dino on Thursday the 22nd. At JC Chumley's, my band Uptown will be rocking it out on Saturday the 23rd. Dempsey's this weekend. We have open mic with Gina Powers tomorrow night, then Walking Phoenix on Friday, then Posheen on Friday the 22nd as well. I noticed that they've been having 2 bands on Friday for the past few weeks. Do you have any idea what's going on there?
I don't know a whole lot about the scheduling there. I'm just kind of their backup sound guy.
Okay.
So if there's is it 2 different shows or is it 2 different bands?
They had 2 different times, and they did the same thing last week as well with 2 other bands. I just can't remember what the bands were. So I don't know if it's just me making a clerical error or if it's they got something new that's going on. It sounds kind of interesting, actually.
I suppose it's possible if you start a show early enough, you could do 2 shows at the aquarium, but I have no idea.
Oh, so at the aquarium, we have our favorite names ever. Frail Body with Wander, Payne's Mall, Swing Low, Body by Torture, Home Invasion with their LP release on Friday, and then DJ KLNMOP. That's them. And then Ikatomi, sure. Optical Illusion, The Dimension Jumper, Sloshy, and Dead Sonic on Saturday. So the best names ever usually come out of the aquarium. DCR, the DrumCon Wrath, open mic night with Travis Nero is tomorrow night. Then we have the Delta Urban 42, Kathy Brecky and the 42nd Street Jazz Band this Thursday as well. Out of town, and we're going to the O and Minot Unleashed to be out there Friday through Saturday, the 22nd and 23rd. The Laughing Sun Brewing out in the Bismarck Mandan, our favorite venue out in the Bismarck Mandan area. Clint Morgenstern will be there Friday. Prairie Roads on Clint Morgenstern's on Thursday. Prairie Roads is on Friday the 22nd, and Wild Hands is on Saturday the 23rd. Sandbar 2 out in Detroit Lake, Slamabama, Friday the 22nd. Then we were told how to say this multiple times. Ojata?
Sounds right.
Oyata, something like that. Records in Grand Forks. Yep, that was the 22nd super fun party on this Saturday, 23rd, and just sounds like they have a whole ton of stuff going on, and taco bars and all everything that's going on. It's an all-day event, a lot of music, lots of entertainment. That looks like a lot of fun, and that's what we have for this week in the weekly report. So
that's amazing. There's so much going on in this community.
It's awesome, and that's what's so much fun about doing this podcast is just meeting all the people and just seeing how all this is going along and just growing, at least out of COVID. As we started this thing basically at the very end. Well, I don't say the very end, but when COVID was finally like waning and things are starting to open back up again. So it's been really, really fun watching everything grow again. Hopefully we can get even more going. That's mainly the whole purpose of this podcast. So, are you ready to see some juvenile destruction?
Juvenile destruction?
Juvenile destruction. There's no reason for it whatsoever, but we're going to do it anyways.
All right.
Let's do this. All right. So this week's Off the Roof.
Oh, I remember this. I remember you telling me about this. Huh. Are we supposed to guess what it is? I'm gonna guess antique vase.
We shall see.
Oh, of course. Is that a Fabergé egg?
They want to be.
Wannabe?
Persian egg.
Beautiful.
And there it goes.
You're never too old to appreciate some
That was perfect game too. You're hired.
That's one of the reasons why I talked about. Well, I mean, that's not a super destructive thing, but something my high school drama instructor, Rebecca Meyer Larson, always taught me. She always told us, like, it's a destructive world, so we have to, like, create to counter that destruction. And it's so awesome to be on that side of things. Like, I have my own destructive
I
habits.
like what you're saying.
A lot
there.
of, like, yeah. I have some more self-destructive habits and less, like, outside destructive habits. But at the core of it, like, my goal is to create to balance out the destruction in this world. And I think if you live by that and you enjoy what you're doing, you should continue to do whatever you're doing.
That's a beautiful thing to go out on. You have anything else that's coming up that you might want to be talking about?
Oh, well, I should probably close with my the stage name or creative pseudonym, whatever you want to call it. Since my days in the Grimways, I was Tommy Grimway. But since then, I've gone off and done a little more solo stuff, and I've been called Tom Grim. So if you really want to find anything about me, at least creatively, that's the place to start. Tom Grim on YouTube, Tom Grim on Instagram. I don't post too much on Facebook, but it's there. And TomGrim.com. So it's Tom with 2 M's and Grim with 2 M's. I am the only Tom Grim online. So if you search that on YouTube, or like I said, TomGrim.com, that's kind of the hub for everything. Yeah, if you feel like learning more about me or seeing more pictures of Cardinal or some of the VR stuff, I've got some of my VR videos posted on there, some of my music on that website. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing any of that thing, that's the place to go.
And they're all linked right down below. I found those earlier, so
Nice.
And I'm going to check out his VR stuff here as soon as we're done here, man. I bet it's going to be really fun. So go ahead and find all that stuff. But remember, if your drummer has more charisma than your front man, your band may be in trouble. But that's why my band's doing just fine. So until next time.
It's just a little baby turtle. Look at him go.